Welcome to Truest Blood, the official True Blood podcast.
I'm Kristin Bauer.
And I'm Deborah Ann Wool.
And you've been invited in.
I wanna do bad things with you. On Truest Blood.
Welcome back to Truest Blood, where we sink our fangs into the series bite by bite.
Valentina Cervi is here, and we could not be more excited. I mean, I think she just carried season 5.
Unbelievable.
She created one of the most memorable arcs for a single season character. I mean, that is hard, and it is also a very high bar on a show like True Blood.
Yeah, she is a beautiful, seductive Italian big bad.
Big bad, a very bad girl, which we've been talking about, are our favorite kinds of girls.
Exactly.
So yeah, I just cannot wait to dig into her brain on what it was like to play Salome.
Yeah, likewise.
But first, let's wrap up season 5 with a quick bite. It's 1 month in the life of Suki Stackhouse.
Okay. Thank you, Deb, for working this out because I find this so entertaining.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. I don't know how you do it, but
Data gathering.
Data gathering. You are good at that. I mean, this is incredible. I mean, strap in, kids, because you're not going to believe this. Season 5 takes place over 11 days.
Yes. The first 11 days of November.
And like the longest amount of time for any season.
Pretty close.
So more like a week and a half in the life of Suki Stackhouse. According to Suki's timeline, where she skipped a year in Fairyland, we pick up on night 58 of the show. That's not even 2 full months since the beginning of the series, when her relatively normal life got upended by the Henley-wearing, bed-headed, and very sexy vampire, Bill Compton. And their romance lasted around 50 days. And it was just yesterday that her 4-day whirlwind affair with Eric came to an end. Pam is very grateful for that.
Yes. Now, season 5 is a standout for Sookie in that she doesn't date anyone during these 11 days.
Whoa.
Yeah, she and LC drunkenly attempt to get something started about 4 days in, but it never quite gets going.
So cute.
But that doesn't mean that others don't get to play. So let's take a look at some other Randy Bontoppers.
Sam and Luna met sometime during Sookie's year of absence, but from the night they first kiss to the night that she, spoiler alert, leaves this mortal coil is a mere 19 days. And yet in that time...
Not even 3 weeks.
Yeah. They take beatings for each other, go on a family camping trip, and suffer near lethal injuries together. But yet, somehow a few days later, there are no wounds, no scars, run around naked. It must have been some V that got in there somewhere.
It's a mystery. Andy gives Holly flowers on Halloween, and their romance blossoms quickly. They sleep together that night.
Happy Halloween, Sheriff.
They make it official the next day, but then Andy goes to Hot Wings and sleeps with a fairy. What gives, Andy? He hides it until 8 days later when Holly finds herself delivering her boyfriend's supernatural babies on the Merlotte's pool table. That is a hell of a first week.
But Pam and Tara, on the other hand,
yes,
take it super slow by True Blood standards. Yes. Pam makes Tara and then waits.
The pole dancer and the prostitute.
The pole dancer and the prostitute are practically Quakers. Pam waits 11 whole days before they even share a kiss. They're such prudes.
It's kind of sweet.
It's very sweet. So let's move on to our 365 plus club. From their first date, to Jesus's untimely death. Lafayette and Jesus were together 380 days, but Jesus continues to haunt Lafayette for another 7 days, which really is the truest form of love. So we'll give them 387 days.
Yeah, come on. But, it doesn't quite beat Jess and Hoyt, who last 390 days, or about 13 months. And Jess and Jason are hot and heavy for about 10 days post-Hoyt, which is significant because it is the longest relationship, monogamous or not, that Jason has had so far in this series. Season 1, we have Amy Burley. That lasts 6 days. Season 2, Sarah Newland, a new record of 2 days. Season 3, Crystal Norris is 5 days. And between season 4 and 5, he's with Jess for 10 days.
You won. Jess won.
Sort of.
Right. I won. Oh. Terry and Arlene strike up their romance while under Marianne's spell in season 2, get pregnant and marry sometime before the baby comes. And at the end of season 5, they are just shy of 400 days.
Oh, snaps.
Making them the longest running couple on True Blood.
A little over a year.
A little over a year.
Good job, guys.
Good job. Valentina was born and lives in Rome, Italy. She is the child of a well-known Italian actress and director and first tried acting at just 10 years old.
Well, since then, her talent only increases. Valentina has appeared in countless Italian and English movies and TV shows, including gracing the screen in Jane Campion's Portrait of a Lady with Nicole Kidman and John Malkovich.
She then went on to star in the epic period drama Artemisia Gentileschi about the first well-known female painter who lived in the 17th century, and BBC TV's Italian detective miniseries Zen, and the critically acclaimed Oscar-nominated Jane Eyre. She's won awards at the Venice Film Festival and the Sulmona Cinema Film Festival.
She was absolutely sublime as the luscious, powerful, sensual, complex Salome.
Yes.
And we are so appreciative she shared her True Blood experience with us. Well, we are so excited. Valentina is here with us, remote all the way from Rome. So exciting. Thank you for taking the time.
Oh my God, girls, hi.
Hi. Oh my gosh, we wish we were in Rome with you.
So long.
I can't say how many times it's just occurring to me how special it is. I hop on here with like 2 amazing women that I get to just talk to for an hour. I'm so touched by it each time.
Me too.
I'm so excited. So excited. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course.
We couldn't, after watching season 5, there was no way we do this podcast without talking to you because Salome just dominates that season.
Yeah.
It's quite extraordinary. We're really blown away by your work. So.
Yeah, totally blown away.
Yeah.
We always start asking everyone, every actor we talk to, how it began. So how did you get the role?
Yeah.
Wow. That when you asked me to do this podcast, I had some really clear sensations that are still so vivid in my guts about the whole show. And some parts were gone about, the story and everything. But this part was very, very vivid. I mean, I remember my manager, I think, said that they were looking for this new character in True Blood, and I have never heard about True Blood. So of course I ran and I watched season 1, and I thought, wow, it's me. I have to be in this. So, and I auditioned just very clearly thinking with no expectations, with no possession, but with total, how can I say, with total
like certainty,
connection to the material.
Confidence? Yeah.
Total confidence with no attachment. So I think I did a first audition. I put myself on tape and I was very free. And after, I think, 4 months maybe, they called me back saying, 4 months. So I totally forgot about it. Saying, Alan Ball, I think he was looking for another actress. I think, evergreen or something. They was, you know,
Okay.
but she didn't want to accept the role, so he saw your audition, and I think, but he wants you to have another go, so he wants you to, you know, to put yourself on tape again, and that's when nerves start kind of, you know, kicking in. I'm like, okay, now my, you know, you at that point, reality kicks in, your mentality, your mental state comes in, and you want the part. And I don't think I did a great audition, but I did put myself on tape again. And then he asked me to flew to Los Angeles, I think 1 week later. And at that point, I thought, well, I got the role, but I didn't. And I think I sat in the room with him and the other writers, and we went through a couple of scenes. And then I was taking my plane back to Paris, where I was shooting a film. And on the plane, I think I was going under the police, how do you call it thing? And my phone rang. And that's my manager. And I said, no, hold on. And I have people behind. And like, okay, you got the part. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And, you know, I was so happy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was so happy. Well, first of all, because I loved the show. At that point, I'd seen the whole, you know, seasons, and I really, really wanted to spend some time in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And that was a great opportunity because I think actors sometimes, you know, you go and you think, oh, I have to stay, you know, I have to spend some time in Los Angeles. But I was never quite that person. I thought that you know, there had to be a reason to be there. And I had some great friends staying there, so that was a great opportunity, and that's how it went. I think, I think for most of us went that way, right?
Yes and no. I mean, there have been a lot of really. Everyone seems to remember very clearly their audition for True Blood, which is fascinating.
Really.
But we have a lot of international actors on this American show, and it's been so interesting to talk to each of you about this. You know, booking this part and then moving thousands of miles away for several months. And what is that experience like? You said you had some friends.
Well, the thing is, and I was very shocked at the beginning. Usually, you know, you get taken care of and, you know, the production organizes a hotel or something. Yeah. And in this case, from the beginning, I really felt that it was all on me. They said, we're not going to take care of your house. You know, this is the money for the show, but you're going to have to take care. It was not about money. It was just about, you have to take care of having a car, renting a car, renting a place. And I'm like, really? And that's where the solitude kicked in a little bit, because yes, I had a couple of friends, but it, you know, you just go in a totally different world, and you felt that there was nobody. I mean, that was, you know, that was how the production was organized. So but it was fun. I bought a car and I rented a place. And fortunately, I had a couple of friends I stayed with for a couple of weeks. And I just and I flew in, and I was very scared at the beginning, I have to say.
Yeah.
Because I just felt that there was this sensation of it's all on you. There's no director you're going to talk to. There's no production that is going to, you know, say hi, you know, how did you it was all on me, and especially artistically. But and I knew, so the audition, actually, what we just talked about, was my only secure. I knew that what I did was working in some way.
Right.
So I had to cling to that sensation that I caught at the beginning. And that's how it went.
Yeah, American television really is very much an industry. It has that business thing where, oh, you're the actor, you're going to take care of the acting, right? It's not doesn't have that kind of sit in a room together and be collaborative and build this thing in that way. Right. It's more collaborate in the moment, not prepare.
Yes.
Prepared collaboration, at least not with the actors. So I can see that they just sort of flew you over, or, you know, you flew yourself over, I guess, and just show up on set and do your job.
Yeah, here's your first day. Be here on Tuesday.
Right into deep water. Yeah, right into the deep end.
And the thing that shocked me was also, you're going to have a parking lot where you're going to park your car, but we were going to tell you the time, but no one is going to pick you up. This is the time, and you have to be on time. And I think, of course, I didn't sleep for a week, and I was so scared that because, you know, in Europe, it works very different. I mean, if you ask to go on set by yourself, they're not going to be happy about it because for insurance reasons, because they have to make sure that you're going to be on time, because time is money. So there's no way an actor might, even in a very small, low budget film, actors, maybe you're going to, sit like 2 or 3 actors in a car, but you're not going to go on set by yourself.
Right. No self-reporting. Yeah.
No. So,
Interesting.
but it was interesting at the same time because everybody was doing the same. So
Right.
but again, just loneliness. A kind of that was. But Salome was lonely as well. So I thought, oh my God, I have to put all this in the character. I really have to put all these feelings in the character.
Yeah, I feel like with American TV, because I'm thinking of jobs where I had Canada, where they flew me to Canada, but at least they would pick me up and they would take me to a hotel. I think Los Angeles would be very daunting because it's huge. It takes like 3 hours to drive across Los Angeles. So if I were looking for a place to stay, I don't know how you figured out what part of LA even
Especially within a week, right? I mean, you've just been hired and flown over.
But I feel like a strong connection is always wardrobe. That's like the first place we land with American TV is like they're the people I feel I can get a feel for the character and we can have discussions and they take care of us a bit in a certain way. They ask you, do you want a robe in between? What kind of robe? Do you want slippers between takes? Was that where you landed first? Was with Audrey Fisher for your costumes?
I think, yes, Audrey was definitely the person. And I mean, she's just so like empathetic, sympathetic and beautiful. And I just felt, I felt home when I think I met her. Actually, what happened was I got a call from Lucy Griffith.
Yes, Lucy Griffith.
Saying, I know that you're going to play Salome. I know that you're not going to be in until episode 2. I'm shooting right now. Do you want to have dinner so we can, meet? And that saved my life. Yeah. Because we went for dinner and she told me everything about, how the set is and how the actors. And,
you were the new kids at school, so.
Yeah. Exactly. And she was European like me and the feelings. And from that moment, this kind of sisterhood went through the whole show. And yes, that was very, very important, that we could really say to each other what was going on. And that was very important. But as you were saying, costumes, yes. And the other thing, I had to play this character that had to be beautiful and sexy and whatever. And I didn't feel beautiful and sexy. So I could take out my insecurities with costumes, saying, I just don't feel this. How? And also the other thing that tormented me was trying to find the funny parts, try to find the fun of the character. Not to be funny, but to find that thing that both of you incredibly have in your characters and that all the characters have, I think.
Well, I mean, Salome is a fascinating character with this history and this baggage and this mythology from several religions, real world, theology, all of this. How much of that played into it? Are you a researcher? Did you just, how does that play any part in your process in coming to this role?
I think so, because I've been raised by nuns in a school with nuns, and then I was Buddhist for years, and I've always found at the beginning with religions, and then just by myself something that was more of a invisible power, a relationship with God, and always looking for my personal. So I totally related with the character in terms of how extreme also it might become in moments of your life when you are devastated. I mean, well, she has a bigger cross than me. She was, as a small kid, kind of, brought as a kid to her uncle, offered as an offer, and she was she seduced her uncle because of her mother. So she was like sold, her body was sold by her mother. So that's a big trauma. And so I don't think she ever forgave this. So I think her credo, her religion's like fervor was really kind of extreme and blind. But I could relate to that in some ways. Moments in life where you cling on, a group. That was my Buddhist group at a certain point of my life, or books, some kind of books.
Yeah.
I could feel that there.
When you mentioned Lucy reaching out to you, which just sounds
So
just like her. We
wonderful.
spoke with her, and it just right in character for her to be that lovely, welcoming person. But then you have this relationship with Nora as well. And from listening to the commentaries, I know that some of that relationship they added because of what they saw between you and Lucy, and that camaraderie, and that they really wanted to deepen. They added scenes for Salome and Nora so that they could explore this relationship.
Really?
So interesting.
They did, yes. Alex Wu shared that they added all these scenes for you too because of that was such an interesting background.
Wow.
So I'm curious for you. You had these intense relationships with Nora, Roman, Russell, and of course, Bill and Eric. And what is that like coming into this show and having to just immediately create these very vulnerable, somewhat manipulative, but also, I think, very pure relationships kind of on the spur of the moment?
That was the easiest part. I think not in life, because, Alex was very reserved, and Steve as well, even though Steve was maybe, more kind of opened. And Dennis, they were so... I don't know if it was about them or about the show. Because until, before you go on set, everybody seems on their sides. Nobody's really talking to you. The second you get in there, there's a sort of sacred something that happens. And that insecurity that every actor has, doesn't matter how many seasons you've done, they're there for you. And they really, really look into you. So I totally felt supported, not voluntarily, but totally supported by what they were deeply bringing to every scene, every one of them. And well, you were mentioning Dennis. I couldn't act next to him because he was just immense.
Yeah.
Immense.
Yes.
Immense. I just was, I got distracted because you have such an incredible actor next to you.
Me too.
And we all
You
did.
too, right?
Yes.
Oh, every time.
You too.
Every time. I'd forget my lines. I wouldn't remember where my line came in because I would just be like
You become
an audience member.
Yeah.
Yes. And that was very, distracting. Like, how do you do it? but maybe that comes from, that's what he is. And also the character he was playing served perfectly to what he had to do. So I don't remember what you asked me, but if such an intense relationship, yeah. And that's Alan Ball as well. Even if he doesn't say anything, there's a sort of intimate contract that I think he does with his actors when he casts you. So he really, I felt it was a long process of auditioning, and then he kind of gave me the role because he knew that I was the one that had to do it. Or there's a sort of certification. So you always go back to that. No, it's going like, okay, I, even if I'm doubting, I know that I am this character, so I can do it. And then it's there are so many facets about every character, so you can throw in every insecurity that that girl comes through, because we all know everyone in the show has that broken internal layer that you can always feel safe when you as an actor are feeling that you don't know where you are, or that you're not certificating to yourself that you're doing well. Or
It's so challenging, I think, to play, and I experienced this as well, to play a character that is like you said, you didn't necessarily feel beautiful or sexy. And Salome is so beautiful.
It's so wild to hear you say
So
that after
sexy.
having watched the season, because you're like, I have never seen a more confident,
Right?
beautiful, self-assured of herself woman. But you are right in that there is this layer
Yeah.
of insecurity beneath that in her, potentially as well as you. But that is always fascinating to
It's
hear.
fascinating. And I just always think, God, I love actors because you've flown over from Italy and you don't even know where you are or how to get there. And you come into a big established show and you
That
are
huge
the
set.
big bad with the huge set with water in it, for God's sakes. And you have to... You just go, I somehow got this. And we just assume the position and do this crazy stuff. I think actors are absolutely amazing that somehow
We are just like,
we show up.
we show up. We show up. But I was saying that, we're so courageous. But it's not about not feeling beautiful. It's not feeling that power, not feeling that, that being centered.
Yeah.
That power that can make you, that is meant to be in the script, or that, I don't know.
You assume the position somehow.
That's why sometimes we need directors.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, is that, because in American television, if you're doing things right, they won't talk to you. You'll never hear from them. So I wonder, is it different? How is it different in Italy?
It's totally different.
I would imagine.
Well, first of all, even in TV shows in Italy, even if you have a technical director, let's say, that it's not like an author, or he's going to be one director, the director of all the 6 or 8 episodes or 10 or whatever they are.
Oh, right.
And so he's going to be the person that, and then we have a big history in Italy of, Accademia dell'Arte and theater, where actors, where even in theater we had the capocomico. There has to be a figure, an artistic figure where the actors can go to, even if he doesn't know what to say, even if he's not the greatest director, but someone that can, even just by saying, you did this way, why don't we try you moving just slower, because I feel this is just maybe by giving you technical, but that it's him, or at least for me, I've always been used to have a director to relate to.
Right.
So it was a bit. So it was, and also like coming on a show where, actors were there since 6 years, just authorizing yourself to go like, hey, can I say something?
Yes. Very hard.
Right.
Or go to the director of that episode going like, I just feel, I just never allowed myself to ask or to say or to, doubt, which was interesting on one hand. Because maybe looking at it now, it gives you maturity to make choices or to take a risk or to fail. But that's the thing. I didn't allow myself to fail. There was no time. No. Yeah. And sometimes to go big, you have to, either you're an amazing theater actor or you're need
Dennis
to
O'Hare.
Fail.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how you did it, how the two of you did it. Because you seem to be always on the edge with your acting. You always seem to be like, you do play with failure, with your characters.
But again, I mean, we've had this conversation on this podcast before. We would say the same about you, Valentina. It's one of those things where it's very hard to recognize it in yourself, what other people see of you. And, I watch your performance and am admiring and look at all the brave, incredible choices she's making and the commitment to certain things. And I go, oh God, I never committed to anything.
In such a sublime way.
Really?
So you feel that way. But again, that's human. And so if that shows through in character, that feels authentic as well. And I think in some ways we are protected by that. We're protected by the fact that we are human, playing presumably humans. And that sort of helps there.
And it's in the writing, right? Like
Yeah.
Pam seemed outrageous because her dialogue was outrageous. And I just had to be true to that writing. And you were so true to your writing. Like, I think of, you were just saying, finding the fun in it. And I wish I could quote the exact line, but there were so many lines where why they worked so well coming out of your mouth was the groundedness to them, like something like, what was it? Like Salome was just a girl with bad parents or something like that, you know, that dialogue. And it seemed so always rich and sublime and grounded.
Oh, thank you. But I did believe in what I was saying. I did believe that could come out of her. And as you said, we all casted for some reasons, and probably that were, those things resonated truly in me.
I mean, you talk about being funny. I don't think it's just out of discomfort, but you have a lot of scenes where you are fully nude, in these moments, and sort of, I guess it's manipulation. Seduction is kind of the broader word, but it is playing on these men and this male gaze and this power that comes from that in some level, from a time when women had very little other power. And in a way, watching this confident, sexy, beautiful woman get what she needed and it was funny. There was I made me kind of smile through all those scenes to see this character really own it, like own this moment in front of these beautiful, strong men that we've been watching for 5 seasons. And she's the one winning the scene in a lot of ways. And so even though they weren't laugh out loud jokes, there was a humor to that, that dichotomy, that flip, that I think you just played to perfect tune.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. It just, because body sometimes it's our savior, when you have to use your body. And I think that doesn't matter how I think that my body is not beautiful enough, but there's a moment where that the central, I mean, I was allowed by the character, of course, but that thing of being naked also frees you from any superstructure. And I remember, this is funny, I came to you, remember we met, Kristin, one day, and I said, "Oh my God!" And you said, "You worried for the naked scenes, right? Darling, we've all been through this. So this is the number." And you gave me the number of this girl, and she was making this massage with this machine.
Yes,
that was like the Cinderella machine.
Yes.
You go there, you spend all your money, and she does this machine, and for 48 hours, your butt and your legs are just firm and perfect.
I've never heard of this.
Yes.
And then after 48 hours, they're just down again.
Yes.
So you said to me, when you know that your naked scenes are coming, go there like 4 or 5 times before, even like one day yes, one day no. And she's going to make your body look different.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Endermology.
Does she still exist? Oh, was it only in dermology?
I think it is. I think it was endermology. And I'm sure she still exists, and they probably have invented so many more machines in the last 10 years. I haven't been naked on camera since, so I don't know. But it really, I remembered you having trepidation about, it's a thing. I think we all had it. I don't know if Alex had it, but he's a unique human being.
Probably he did, yeah.
Probably he didn't. Probably Ryan didn't, but, Sam on the podcast, who played Sam Merlot, Sam Trammell, he had it. He was very funny, but talking about his continual nudity being a shapeshifter. But it's another layer that I feel like you had to deal with in this, taking on this role, because she really was really confident and comfortable being naked.
Sure, she totally was. And but seeing the show, I also knew that imperfection was a total part of what Alan Ball really wanted to explore.
I'm so happy you said that.
Yeah.
Imperfection is the key to, you know, the imperfect human being, the vampire. But then, of course, I knew that also, you know, they needed to have some kind of, how do you say, plasticity to some characters. So you needed to, but yeah, but I knew that so that feeling of imperfection was also a key to a more central being, because it doesn't matter that if you're beautiful, it matters if your body explores also the imperfection that you finally showing to the person you have in front, and that's where you become powerful, because that imperfection, you have no fear of that imperfection. And that becomes powerful, probably. I don't know. I mean, they just coming up now to my mind. But
Fascinating.
It's fascinating. And I don't know if this is true, but I do feel like Europeans embrace beauty in a different way than the more commercial American does. And I feel like you may not even realize that, but being this fabulous Italian, you know, coming in, that there is an embrace of that sensuality that I think Europe, especially, that I think of as very Italy.
It's funny that you say that, because I've been seen, especially in my country, as typically Italian. I'm more seen like Eastern European, you know. I'm not the typical Italian woman, like, you know, big tits, brown hair, dark skin, or but of course, maybe for America that was but but at the same time, Salome she was from Egypt, so there was something about her, you know. She was a Jewish, so there was a kind of mixed something.
Well, and there's something about Europeans, just with, you know, growing up around art with nudity and statuary that is nudity. You know, I don't walk around Los Angeles and see a lot of naked statuary, you know, out on the street.
It's very different.
And especially, you know, on some level, more inclusive statuary. So, you know, there is maybe something to that European idea of having grown up with a much broader sense of beauty over centuries.
I think so.
That we maybe don't have here in a younger country like the United States.
Yeah, that's probably right. So you mean it's a sense of, it's an energy more than an aesthetical whatever.
Yeah, it's a sensibility.
There's a lack of shame, maybe, you know. I think with the United States, with its roots in sort of Puritanism and stuff like that, there is still a lot of that around bodies, and that starving for perfection, for a plasticity, rather than for imperfection and uniqueness and sort of range of beauty. And so I
think France has
I
it.
love that you said that about the imperfections, because I mean, I agree. I find so much beauty in authenticity, in us like loving what we have and what we are, and there is such there's such an attraction.
But I think that this was a key to the show, right?
Yeah.
That then a lot of American TV shows then adopted, you know, you know, many. But at the time, this kind of plasticity mixed with blood and imperfection and was very, very unique, and also very, what's the word now? Very, when you finally relieving, you get a relief from. I don't know, I'm losing myself in this. I'm dreaming about what my first vision of True Blood, and I just felt, wow, this show.
And how was it to then do the PR with True Blood? Because you were also part of this huge premiere and PR machine at the end of that season. Was that different?
I haven't done much PR. Also because I've always been not a very PR person. I remember there was people, it wasn't like now. We didn't have social media or things like that.
Yep.
So I totally. I mean, I came to the premiere because I was still in LA, but that's it. I have friends now that have been like on the White Lotus, for example, and their life has changed because of the show, but because of all the PR and the social media and all that.
Yeah.
Right. I've never been that. I mean, it was a different time also. It was a different time. Actually, I have to tell you something. I came back to Rome, and after 3 months, I was pregnant. So what I'm saying is I really needed to put myself into another situation. All that could lead me to something, that might have changed also from a different space. My life as an actress, maybe spending more time in Los Angeles and investing on that. I just needed a cocoon coming back. I just said, it's not. I just that now I'm ready.
Life gave you the perfect reason to cocoon.
Yeah, it was because you're asking me about PR and I'm just I don't know why I made this connection to this.
Yeah. So you've been acting for a long time. Did you start acting really young?
I did. Yeah.
And you've done so many projects. So in Italy, so you've worked, was that your main time in Los Angeles or in the United States? So you went from European Italy into the True Blood world and then back into Italy.
Yeah, well, I did my first film was The Portrait of a Lady with Jane Campion.
Yeah.
Where I was playing Nicole Kidman's daughter and John Malkovich's daughter.
And so, watch that again.
Yeah,
but that was an English production.
Yeah,
actually American English production, and it was all shot in Italy and a little bit in England. So when it did come out, I did start to get a little bit of auditions in America and things like that. But I wasn't really ready. So from my emotional point of view, I was in a moment of my life where I was really thinking about my career. So I was just doing things that they were offering me that were, in Europe. And then I came back to LA and I did the James Dean film, a film about James Dean with James Franco.
Yes.
Where I was playing his Italian girlfriend. So I came and I stayed there for a little bit, but still I didn't have that thing of, finding an agent in America or because I always think that we as European actors, we're always going to be chosen for what we are in our country. I don't, and for a specificity of being Italian or Spanish or French.
Interesting.
So I think that we really have to grow and put roots in our country and become strong as actors in our country in order to be then seen in another, world. Well, other thing is like if you're very determined, you're 20 years old, you can spend some time in Los Angeles. But this was, my really kind of long American studio film, because then I did the Spike Lee film, and again, it came out in America. I did a bit of promotion, but that was an Italian, set in Italy, and that was an American production. And then, I love Europe. I love to work in Europe.
I know. I keep saying this when we talk to people. Foreigners, I'm like, I was born, I think, in the wrong country. I think next life,
You are?
I'm gonna go back to Europe because I just remember when we came over to Rome, Alex and I, and we did that press with you. We did an evening, a True Blood evening, and we went out to dinner. And you rode up on your scooter, and I believe you were pregnant, right?
Really?
And I got a little bit of time around Rome, and we were at this event, and I just got a tiny glimpse into your life. And to me, it just looked so wonderful, so beautiful.
And you came to that terrace with those friends, or it was just Alex? Because I remember we had a little dinner on a terrace, but I don't know if you were there.
Yeah. I think so, because it was HBO. Aubrey was there. And what a special, magical time. It was just 48 hours for me, but it left such an impression. And it was really neat to see you in your home environment.
Yeah.
But girls, you have to come. It's not that far away.
Right.
And spend a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we have to wrap up soon, but before we did that, I wanted to ask you about your death scene, because it is a particularly kind of gruesome yet beautiful, tragic at the same time. If you have any recollection from shooting that and how they did either the makeup or how did that kind of go about?
I have to be very honest. That scene was the quickest scene I've shot on the show, and I was so upset. I remember that I discovered that I had to die like a couple of weeks before, because on the show you never received the script before. I mean, this is something that has to be said, because you start, and then I'm sure this is the sensation that a lot of us had, like, oh my God, my character's not there anymore. It's not there enough. Maybe I'm not doing well because right.
It was nerve-wracking. Every script, I thought was nerve-wracking, where I would page through looking for Pam and be taking it as
there.
Right. And you're like, you're either elated or kind of worried.
But see, I was young and new and green enough to be like, if I have half a word, I'm like, oh, they put me in it. I was still in that place where I was like expecting to not be in it and just happy when I had one line. So I came from there.
But that scene in particular was very quick, and I was very upset. I was going to die. And I don't know, there was a bit of a technical problem. So I cannot say I have like the best memories about it. But of course, the fun of the blood and all that.
Well, on that note, Kristin, do you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, this will be interesting. So we ask everybody if they could. I'm thinking that you may want to give us the Italian words, but when you think of your experience on True Blood, if there were 3 words that might come to mind.
Blessing, solitary, and inevitable.
Oh, so interesting. That's so spiritual.
It is.
Is it?
It feels like,
Yeah. To me, that's how it's just the character was in you, and the stars aligned, and you showed up and made it all work because it was in you.
It was your role. Well, thank you.
Girls, it's so nice to talk to you.
It's
Thank
so
you so
nice to
much.
talk to you, and thank you so much for taking this time. It was just so beautiful to see your work. And now to see you on, this little, on my screen.
Little screen.
And it is inspiring me to get back to Rome.
Thank you so much, Valentina.
Ciao, girls.
I'm just wanting to be European so badly. She's so
That
beautiful.
Voice,
and
Kristin.
Her
that
voice.
It is. You are blessed to be born with that. I mean, the sensuality of that, but just
I know.
the resonance, the groundedness. You just believe every word that comes out of her mouth. Oh, I would kill for that.
I know. She's so layered in that way that so many actors on the show are. Just such deep, rich, authentic people that came into the show and said these words. The honesty.
And the honesty, right? Because she's like, I haven't done much PR. That's not that, she's just like, here's the truth about all of these things. And it's so refreshing.
Just all around. So lovely. Wonderful to talk to her. Next week on Truest Blood, we leave the underground authority of Season 5 for the sunny skies of Season 6. Vampires get their first real taste of light. We lose a beloved member of Bon Tom, and Sookie leans into her past.
We also have the one and only Ryan Quanten over to talk about his astonishing portrayal of Jason Stackhouse. I don't think I have been more excited for an interview yet. Yeah. So be sure to join us, and thank you for listening. Truly subscribe and follow wherever you listen to your podcasts, and we'll see you next week.
Y'all come back now. You're here.
Truest Blood is produced by Safe Haven for HBO. Executive producers are Janina Kavankar, Kristen Bauer, and Deborah Ann Wool. Our producer is Gabrielle Gallon, and our audio producer is Christopher Wool. Our theme song was recorded just for this podcast by Jace Everett. Additional music was composed by Timo Chen. And remember, you can watch all of the original episodes of True Blood on Max.